This is Travis in the Uncanny Valley. So it's often a little embarrassing when I figure out something that's so obvious. But here goes. Like that's why I'm doing this, so I can benchmark this stuff, regardless of how embarrassing it might be. Um, I realized that one big reason that I come off the way I do, and I'm so hard to agree with, is because when I form an argument, I'm forming that argument over a long period of time. It's not something I'm doing in real time with you, and I'll get it nailed down pretty good, and it's pretty uh, brute and unforgiving and uh, harsh, and it's got all these sharp edges on it, and it is what it is, and it's as precise and as deadly as it's gonna be, and it's unforgiving and it doesn't care about you. It doesn't care about me. I'm just trying to make this thing as accurate and as solid of an argument um, as I can. And so when a neurotypical person is having a conversation with another neurotypical person and they're wanting to win the other person over, and that never occurred to me. That never occurred to me. So yeah, I am. That has not been one of my goals. My goal had typically been to make the best argument, um, feelings aside, because I'm not able to like if I'm figuring out this argument or this rationale behind something, it's not going to be based on the conversation I'm going to have with you 4 years from now after I get it all figured out. So it's just this thing, this independent thing I have and I've formed, and it's not something I bring into the situation of the conversation. That I'm a human and you're a human, and I should relate to you and try and win you over to the idea. Like that never occurred to me. Like I'm just doing this thing. I'm just like giving a presentation. Like it's like giving a presentation at some business luncheon or whatever, and who's the business lunch? I don't care. I'm just going to give this presentation, and they can win themselves over if they like it. Like that's about how effective it is, and it's not meant to be hurtful disregard. It was just unwitting uh, disregard, and so like I can see how if someone did that to me, that would be or could be upsetting. I don't know if it would be, but yeah, like that makes sense, kind of that two neurotypical people talking to each other, they're going to be trying to win the other person over. First of all, um, the other person is going to be more receptive to that because they will pick up on the fact that the neurotypical person is trying to win them over. So they'll be more amenable to whatever idea is being presented, possibly. Um, but also the fact that they've probably shaped their argument around the fact that they have to win the person over or that that's part of their objective. So their argument is probably guided by that from the very beginning, and mine never are. So being autistic, I like part of that to me means that I'm going to come about something from a purely fair, like what's fair, what's intellectually sound, and then I want it to be a standalone argument that makes sense, and then implement that, and then the consequences are what the consequences are. But also beyond that is that the things that I'm going to draw from, I'm not making arguments for the or since I'm not making arguments for the purpose of winning people over, I will draw from areas that neurotypical people aren't inclined to draw from, So I'm making an outlandish, in their eyes, an outlandish argument for something. And um, let me tell you, people are not inclined to agree with an outlandish argument that does not take them into consideration, and you are very much, very obviously not trying to win them over. It's just like, here's the argument, take it or leave it. This is it. Yeah, so that's it. That's a snapshot. I just figured this out on Friday. So February 4th, like that. I don't know that I've ever tried to win anyone over. I've just hoped that my standalone argument is convincing enough that they will win themselves over, because that's my view. It's like, well, it's your life. Like, if you agree, you'll just do it intellectually and then have the consequences be what the consequences are. But I didn't know most people don't make their decisions that way. So it was it was not meant to be hurtful, or it was not meant to show disregard, but it was definitely doing that because I didn't know that was even a quality of persuasive argument. Yeah, this is, yeah. Okay. That's where we're at, though. That's where I'm at. I'm just being real. So the reason I'm doing this little video is to kind of show how pervasive it is, that like I didn't think about this till now, that I don't take the emotional components into account when I'm dealing with potentially important situations around people. Like, it's just not, it's not a factor that can be known ahead of time. Because I have mind blindness, I can't presume to know what anyone's emotional reasoning or motivations will be. So that's not something I can even account for. It's like having multiple variables that are unknowable to me, and then expecting me to present my argument not just to partially include those, but to be based on those things, to be based on what I know are unknowable variables to me. I don't have the capacity to know what people's emotional motivations are going to be. So I am left to make an unemotional, logical argument. And the good thing here is that I'm starting to understand how that's hurtful and how that's damaging in these situations. So that's the positive takeaway, is that I'm understanding more of how that's at play, so that I can not be hurtful when I'm not, was never trying to be hurtful when doing that. I didn't even understand how it was hurtful. Um, I'm meaning to make a logic based argument, and have often been met with the response that I'm mean, or how can you say that? Which was further distracting, because it's a non literal idiom. They come to find out, they don't want to know how you can think that or how you can say that. So that was exacerbating to me in my emotional state, because I do have emotions. I just don't have them the same as you, or um, feel them for the same reasons that you might. So when I give a logic based argument and I'm just reveling in its logicness, and waiting for you to win yourself over to it if it merits it, and 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 the person might have an angry expression on their face and say, in a rhetorical question, how can you say that? And I'm thinking, well, which part? Let's dive into this. and but I can pick up that it's sarcastic, but I don't know why it's sarcastic, because I can answer that. I can tell you how I can say that, because it's based on my life experience. It's not based on your neurotypical, living in a neurotypical world. It's not able to be based on your life experience. It's based on my life experiences, which might sound frightening, which might sound uh, scary and threatening to your worldview. So like I'm understanding how that could be alarming to hear a very different worldview applied, um, how that can seem hurtful to take the responses that I've gotten through my life and then apply those in a systematic way as a worldview to how I would deal with this situation, and then give it to you, and you're going to have all these emotional responses to what can only appear like a nightmarish worldview, and that's projected that that I think that, or if I feel that personally, and it's just like, no, this is my template, this is what I've been given by the world, and so these are the equations that I ran it through, so it's been very confusing as to why I've had so much anger directed at me when doing strictly unemotional things. But I feel like that kind of makes sense now, that why people have been so upset within themselves, and then logically in the situation felt like directing that at me. I'm not excusing uh, anything. I'm just trying to make sense of it here. So I feel like I am making more sense of it.